in what we're doing today between Team 67-2 and the other organizations that are, like VRG. And had I have had that and just a little bit of guidance, I think it would
Yeah.
have saved me, a few years. And that's what I'm hoping I can bring to the table and hopefully help other students not be lost for 20 years.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Business's Mission podcast. I'm here with Carrie Hayashida, she's going to tell her story, but just for those of you who just tuned in, you could say, well, what does she do? She is the CEO of a company called Vision Resourcing Group. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. I'm excited to have my first podcast with you.
Yeah, I
This is
didn't
great.
even realize until just now it was your first, so that's good. I'm glad. We always have a lot of fun, and the guests are just so God's just using all these folks in so many amazing ways, and hearing the story is really what it's about. We started this originally. The name for the podcast was BAM Stories. And because we just want to tell stories, and we wanted people to get their stories out and be heard, and that would be an encouragement to other people to say, well, if Mike can do it, or if Carrie can do it, maybe I can do it. Maybe this is not just for the super Christian. This is for all of us, and that it really is what Business's mission is. It's all of us doing whatever it is God's given us to do, using what He's placed in our hand to honor Him. So Carrie, tell us a little bit of the story. Who are you, and how did you get into the BAM ecosystem? How did this come about for you?
So, well, I came about it in a very different way, I think. So before I got into BAM, I was a stay-at-home mom and a single parent, raising 3 boys and just really pouring into them. And just before my middle was going to go to junior high, I felt God say, you need to help them with their career path. And so because of that, I started looking into ways that I could do something. Started a small ministry at my church and it was a career ministry, and it didn't have one. And what I'm finding is a lot of churches don't have them. And it has kind of just started my path. So next thing, I felt called to go back to school, and God took me to Hope International University, where I met Neil Johnson, one of the pioneers of BAM. I know you know him from a long time ago, and he introduced me to BAM, and he allowed me to develop a student. It was International Student Business's Mission Club at the university. It was small. It lasted maybe a year, and when I left, it ended. But it was a good opportunity to introduce students to businesses, mission companies. So we took them to. We did some field trips. We also went over to Italy, the first Italy study abroad for BAM, which was great. We took an art instructor, a business instructor, and a mission instructor. And the students spent 30 days over there. So it was a very cool opportunity to introduce them to BAM. And I like starting things. So one of the other things that I did was artisan crafts and finding crafters and hosting boutiques. And even at the school, we had a international a business fair day or something like that. And we displayed all these artisan products and were able to talk to the students about fair trade and artisans across the world that are marginalized, but through a craft, and our supply chain bringing it to the States, and then they're purchasing it, how they were really supporting. And so it's just a better educational opportunity, if you will. And so that was kind of the introduction to BAM.
Oh, I love it. And so, Carrie, first of all, I love the story of, like, I'm a single mom. I got these kids, and this one son in particular. You step out for him, and God starts meeting you all along the way, which of course is what He always does. But it's the stepping out part that's the hard thing. But then from that, you you connect with students almost instantly. So, what do you see among them? What was it in the beginning? Were they missionally minded? Were they just students kind of figuring out what I want to be when I grow up? What did you see, and how did you connect with them?
Well, so at the church, we hosted monthly seminars where we brought them together with professionals that were in the church, and that kind of started this idea of planting the career ministry in my head, which led to these other things at HIU. And on campus, the students they were happy college students, just kind of going about their business. Some of them were interested in BAM. I know one went on his first mission trip from what we were doing, met his wife, and is now
Hmm.
happily married. And he's looking into a coffee business. And so there's other opportunities like that and students like that. Um, and then so fast forward with my kids, they've now successfully launched. And so again, like BAM came in and out of my life. It was not a constant thing, but I told God, you get me through this phase of the single parenting, raising three boys on my own. And when they launch, I will get off the bench for you. And like you said, he has met me and he has put those stones in front of me every step of the way.
Hmm.
It's really been amazing. So after my time at HIU, kind of put it on the sidelines, focus on the career ministry. And then, which led me to Vision Resourcing Group, which now it's now 10 years later. And the two aging co-founders were looking for a successor and they asked me. And so that's how now I'm CEO of this education and ministry and really seeing more of a need for career development and just the students, the college students, you know, like Barna, they've got their statistics 78% are walking away from the church when they go to college, which
Yeah.
in looking at it, it's just, hey, kids go to college, right? And so they go and then they're navigating their pathway. Well, the thing also is that a lot of them don't know what they want to do vocationally. And so I'm kind of studying that area and hoping to um, bring it back to the church, plant those career ministries within the church. And then here comes Team 67 too. And God has just been very gracious putting us together and allowing us to reach that next generation. And then even within our team, right, Mike? I mean, everybody is from a different aspect of BAM. You're a very seasoned BAMer, which is fantastic because I'm coming from it from a different perspective. Not really in the BAM business. I didn't go overseas like Ben, but as you put it, I'm in touch with the college students, and that is just super um, it's so fulfilling to meet them and to see the ones that don't know what they want to do, and then to be able to have that conversation and talk to them about business's mission, whether they're an entrepreneurial mind or whether it's just faith in the workplace. And so the gap that I've seen is connecting people like yourself who've been in BAM for a long time, a while, and then companies like, Ben's company, Leather Company, and bringing them together with the students, providing that
Hmm.
opportunity. I took a small poll, and 57% of this one small sample group had no access to an internship. So I see that as part of what Team 67 can provide, like making those connections and then introducing and hopefully moving that forward, taking them into a new direction.
Yeah. No, and it's the timing is perfect because, as you know, working with me and Larry Sharp and others, we're the older guys, and we're not, thankfully, not, I hope, passing off the scene too quickly, but it's time for the next generation to step up and the next wave, not to do what we've done, but to do what they're going to do, to go to the next level. What is it that God's putting in their heart? And to me, that is so critical that BAM, or again, so many labels, B4T, Business for Transformation. I don't care what you call it, but the idea of integrating faith and work into a calling to bring Christ to the nations to Christ. It's not go do what we did. I really, I don't want anybody to go do what we did. I want them to get the sense of the legitimacy of it, the fact that business is a high and holy calling from God. This is a legitimate career path for my walk with God. And who knows, if he sends them overseas and uses them among the nations, it's even better. I'm curious, Carrie, going back just a minute, I want you to give a commercial for Vision Resourcing Group. Um, so you mentioned it's an educational ministry, but what is it? What do you guys do? And how can people learn about it and avail themselves of your services?
Mhm. So our website is visionresourcinggroup.com, kind of lengthy, but it works. And what we've done is we've built some tools and resources. So a person who is looking to give back, say, get involved, let's say somebody just recently retired and they want to plant this ministry at their church. They can get certified to do career ministry, to do budget coaching, and also stewardship ministry. So we have different programs and we've developed them to equip individuals. So you can go and do this. You can do it as a consultant. You can take it to your church. And then also we ourselves go to churches and present these different educational programs to equip. And then hopefully the goal is to replicate and then equip people so then they will go and take it back to
Hmm.
their church.
So is it sort of the life skills that we all wish young people were taught and they're not? Is it that kind of thinking, or I mean, I always hear the classic, I wish they taught me about balancing a checkbook. I wish they taught me about buying a car. I mean, fundamental living skills. It's not just that, though. I mean, it is that maybe, but what are the kinds of things they're learning?
So with the career ministry, it's vocational calling, their godly design. We have
Hmm.
an assessment created by Larry Burkett. It's amazing. It's a phenomenal tool. I've never seen it be wrong. And once you equip an individual with their godly design and then teach them how to then look at an opportunity, a company, a teamwork through that lens of how God wired me, it 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 like opens up a whole new area for them in many respects. They can find something that really matches them, how they're designed and wired, and then it's fulfilling, because it's like God's calling.
So it's not life skills in the sense of what I laid out. It really is a career pathing, planning, understanding God's view on career and who you
Right.
are and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So what is the reception to that in the marketplace? How many people are like raising their hands saying, "I need some of that"? I mean, from my perspective, everybody needs some of it, but does everybody get that?
It's interesting. We've individuals, yes, but schools and churches, it's been a little harder to access. And so one of the things that I've been working on is I've been doing some research so that way I can go and say, here's school principal or pastor of, AB church. This is something that I think you should see is that the students, if you're not teaching vocational design, when they get to college, they change their major 1 to 3 times before graduating. I mean, there are those that really, they like, this is what I want to be when I grow up, but the majority don't. And the schools aren't doing the same type. So our assessment it's biblically based. It includes core values, which we find is really the foundation of being able to match students with a career path. And yeah, so it's those types of things. And then now I'm trying to build that and include other aspects to really provide well, a good functioning plan for people.
And is it mainly through churches, Carrie, or schools? Who are you distributing this to? I don't want to spend all our time on this, but
Yeah.
I love hearing about what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, so definitely schools and churches, individuals. So we work on, referral basis. And then it's not just high school students also. We have, adults if they're getting downsized, if they just
Hmm.
hate their job and want a new path. we can work with them as well. And I just got back from a college campus in Arizona, and so we're looking to partner with them. Again, for me, it's how to make it scalable. So that's what I'm working on. I'm looking for partners, as well as just anybody who is interested. So I appreciate Team 67 too, because I think there are a lot of kids out there, they have a passion, they want to do something, but they don't know what. And then if
Yeah.
we can connect them to their calling and get them connected to, an organization that will then, yes, will mobilize you in this area that matches you, I think it's a win-win situation.
Hi, this is Mike again, and I want to just chat with you briefly about a new course available on thirdpathinitiative.com. Very, very excited about this course. It's called How to Raise Capital for Your Business's Mission Company. It is probably the single most in-demand course we've ever created, and it comes in a direct response to conversations and surveys we've done among our existing students. What do you most need? This was overwhelmingly the course that people wanted the most. They wanted to hear about, what do you do? It's the great challenge. And so this course it's very short, it's very simple, but it walks you through how to understand the capital markets, what you need to understand and be prepared for before you begin to seek funding, how to put together a pitch, who to go to, and how to manage that funding after you get it. And so we've brought together a panel of experts from people in the financial field, from people in the business's mission field, from people in entrepreneurial field. Very, very excited. And it is available now. It is live on thirdpathinitiative.com/all-courses. Check it out. I hope you'll enjoy it. We really enjoyed making it.
I love it. So let's switch over to the Team 67-2 conversation. And for our listeners that haven't heard the story, this began originally with Larry Sharp and I wanting to write a book, encouraging young people to consider BAM, consider business as a godly alternative to their career pathing. A lot, the system. We always say the system says you love God and you happen to love business, but you got to make a choice, right? You either go into ministry or you go into business and you become the quote faithful layman. And we always said, well, there's a third choice, and that is the integration of business's mission together. So we were going to write a book to do that. And we formed an advisory team, and the very first thing that group told us was, don't write a book. And so they started thinking about how to use, media and so forth. And then that's when we started realizing we need a facilitator for this. And you and I had met through Neil originally, and we've stayed in touch. And I thought, okay, maybe Carrie, so I asked you to join the group, and then ended up we asked you if you would take the lead on it. So you've really done a great job pulling us together and keeping us on task and going forward, together. So with that, Team 67-2 for the listener is the name we chose. It comes from the Psalm 67-2. It's just the idea of the nations rejoicing as God moves among them, and He is glorified among the nations. It's a beautiful, beautiful allusion. A fellow named Ben, one of our team members, came up with it, and we all said, "Yeah, we really like that." So we stuck with it. So Carrie, tell us about that. One, why you're attracted to it, and now that you're the leader. And I know you're a leader of leaders, so she's not the boss. I will say to the listeners, Carrie's not the boss. She could be, but she does lead the thing. She does run it. She keeps us moving forward, and that's really, really critical. But tell us what attracted you to it in the first place.
What attracted me in the first place was being able to work with BAMers like yourself and Larry, and then also Ben, because as I said before, I have not been overseas to work. I have not, but I love the quadruple bottom line. I love everything about business's mission, changing, making change, community development, projects, all of that BAM really encompasses. And for where I'm at with Vision Resourcing Group, working with high schoolers and also college students, your Team 67-2 is a piece of that puzzle, because, we primarily want to focus on young adults, graduating college, already graduated and in the workplace, and then mobilizing them, right? Helping them to mobilize. And to me, it was just one piece of the puzzle and the opportunity to make that connection so that way, as I'm working with high school students and new college freshmen, I can say, hey, plug into Team 67-2 and see what they're doing. And then get involved. And hopefully, that's planting a seed and God can do the rest. So, yeah. That's
Well, it really does. It really does fit together beautifully, right? I mean, with already the broader, vision resourcing group working among them, to see. I love your term, and I guess this came from Larry Burkett, but godly design. Is fearfully, wonderfully made, designed for a purpose, not just random. So you got that, and now within that universe for you, business's mission. Well, anybody working should think of their business as mission. Going overseas doesn't make it mission, but there is such an emphasis, and this is where my passion is, getting to the unreached. You're not going to do that. You've got to go. And it's the young people that need to realize if you're going to go, you can't go as a missionary. The traditional funded missionary agency, it's not going to work in those places. And it's not critical of anything that's going on. It's just countries they're not giving out religious worker visas. They're not giving out missionary visas. If they think you're a missionary, they won't let you in the country. If they find out you are one, they'll kick you out of the country. All those things that we've seen and read about and we know is real. But the beauty of real business, doing real mission, making a real difference, a real profit, is universally accepted. It's pretty amazing. So I see the connection. So tell us a little bit more. I mean, you're part of a team, but you're leading that team. What is Team 67-2 doing? Who are they, and what are they doing? I say, what are we doing? I'm part of it too, but what is it that they're doing?
The great thing is again, God has brought several people together from different parts of the community. And so you're doing this podcast, right? And Ben, who you mentioned, is helping with shorts and videos and things like that. And for me, I see it as I'm visionary. So I kind of more big picture person. And so that's why I like the connecting of the pieces. And so now when I'm going to be going to college campuses and talking with church groups, I'm going to be mentioning Team 67-2. And going back to how people are wired, not everybody is meant to go overseas. And so I think that there's kind of a bridging of the BAM movement to include opportunities here at home. And like you said, every Christian should be able to know how to take Jesus into their workplace, right? And it could be simply, I've heard this one story of a worker and his goal, he really was, Lord, I'm working at this fast food restaurant. How can I brighten people's day? How can I be Jesus to them? And every person that comes through his door, it's good morning. And next thing you know, and because so few people say good morning, customer service is really tanked. He's now got people coming, repeat customers, and if he's not there, they're asking, where is he? And so, and something that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a close friend of mine that he travels a lot. He flies out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and he talked about a woman that he would meet early in the morning when he was flying out of town, checking in, same woman, and that she brightened his day. And it was interesting. He's not a believer, but he was talking about this woman and the impression that she made on him just by being engaging and friendly and kind and thoughtful. And so, like you say, I mean, once upon a time, maybe that was normal. Is not normal. It is abnormal, and is needed. So even for our listeners, again, some are very advanced in their BAM thinking, and some are still trying to figure it out. And it's like this young man said, "I'm just going to carry Jesus into my workplace and let him do the work." And that's Bill Job, who is one of the early, original gangsters, if you will, of BAM. That's his definition of BAM. Is it's just walking with the Lord at work. nothing more complicated. And I think he's right.
And so I really appreciate all the work that you and other people that started, Neil and some others, and BAM Global people. I appreciate so much of what you did, just a short time ago, and I see today, and like you said, what can today's youth do? I appreciate what you've done because I really think that it's okay. Let's take what you've done, and then let's see what the next step is. And it's really it's connecting with them, and through our Instagram and social media posts, that's how I think we'll attract a lot of them, connect with them in very short spurts, is what I'm being told. And then hopefully they will be intrigued, and that we will plant a seed, and then God will bring them to us, and then we can lengthen their shorts to longer longs and get them involved and really help develop that heart in people and give them a pathway. That's
Yeah. So Team 67-2 is not a mission agency, and it's not a sending agency, right?
right.
It really is. You use the term mobilization, which is it's a missions term for people that aren't familiar with missions. It just means just engaging people in what could be, and the fact that God could use them in business, number one, and overseas, number two. Not necessarily both, but certainly there's a connection. So it really isn't. It's not it's not an agency. It's not an educational service. It is an engagement service. It is hey, have you looked at this? Have you thought about this? Getting that in front of them. Carrie and I laugh because she's younger than me considerably, but the younger people, but the younger people, things like I'm learning, they don't read, many of them. I saw a clip out of Harvard recently where somebody was talking about the workarounds that they're doing because the students don't read. Like, oh my gosh, you're at Harvard and you don't read. But that's the norm. So part of it's that. And the other is that in terms of social media, they don't do long form. Bad news for Facebook, not bad news for Meta. Meta's making money in other places, but Facebook is dying as the older generation dominates it. And the young people that's too much stuff to read. It's bursts. It's a flash to get their attention. But then what? So when they get intrigued, interested, wow, what's this? What do? So they see a short video. They maybe read a little. I don't know what the short version of a blog is. A bloglet. I don't know. They some little thing gets their attention, gets them to start thinking this way. Maybe God could use me here. Maybe my career is a part of His plan for me. All this starts coming together. What do they do? What action do they take at that point?
I think with our shorts, they'll have links, and they can click on that, and then it will take them to the next step that will introduce them to something else, being whether it's training, whether it's finding out what their godly design is, whether it's a short-term mission trip, whether it's a long, an internship maybe. We're still developing that, but I think God's just really going to pull so many things together. He's bringing people, to this team, and which is great, and we're learning more as every day, every meeting that we have. And I think the great thing about our team, because we are so diverse, we have everybody has an idea of some type in some field, whether it's tech, whether it's educational at the university. And I think really creating those opportunities through connections to different agencies, companies, and organizations. I think that will be the pathway that we'll take.
So what you're describing to me is it's sort of, I won't say risk-free, because everything with Jesus is risky. You never know what He's going to lead you to do. It's always good. It's like that line out of C.S. Lewis, Chronicles of Narnia, talking about Aslan. He's not a tame lion, but he is good. But the idea is sort of risk-free in the sense of if the message intrigues you, or you're already thinking this way, you can click through to a site, and that site isn't going to ask you for money. That site's not going to ask you to join anything. The site's going to say, in some form or fashion, here are some options you can look at in depth, on your own. So they're still very much in control. They haven't been put in the matrix. They've not been captured and dragged kicking and screaming. It really is still hey, okay, you're interested in the headline. Here's some doorways you could look through, which to me seems like and I'm using the term risk free, it really isn't, but it seems like a very safe way to explore options that aren't presented very well. We're still, my sense of things, that what I see is that even in Christian universities and churches, they're still kind of hammering the traditional. Okay, if you're serious about Jesus and serious about seeing people come to know him in other countries, you've got to become a missionary. Major turnoff. And so we're trying to say, no, that's not at all the pathway that you have to take. There are many pathways. You could talk to some agencies. You could but you could also go to something like Frontier Operators and learn more. I mean, there's a lot of resources. It's just I would almost use the term a concierge.
I like that term.
Where might I go for dinner? Well, here's 3 restaurants you might consider
in your area.
Yeah, exactly. And how you get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And also, you do these podcasts. And one of the things that I've taken from that is with our Instagram and other platforms that we'll be using, I want to do snippets and show real people who are doing this stuff. Mm-hmm. and tell their story in 15 seconds or less. And then hopefully the student will be like, hey, I've been thinking about doing that. And then click, and then let's find out some more things. Because they have a heart to do something, but they don't know how to get there. And that's one of the main things that I'm picking up from students that I've been talking to.
So, Carrie, I could have to warn you, don't be surprised, but snippets of you may end up being pushed out through Team 67 too.
Okay. Well, then I better improve myself here.
It is interesting. One of the most highly listened to podcasts in the history of this podcast group that we're in, the Business is Mission podcast, was 4 brothers who were in their 20s or younger. The youngest one was still a teenager. And they were so in love with the Lord and so serious about missions. But it was, from my old man perspective, like they were kids. But the truth is, it really resonated with people because they were so engaging, so clear, so passionate, and they were hysterically funny. It was just the 4 brothers on the podcast together, and they were telling their story and the mission that they were involved in, what the company they were building, in fact, for the listeners, it's one of the very earliest ones in the first or second season, and the title of it is called "Wild for the Kingdom," and it's called that because they were the Wild brothers. That's their last name. And so to me, it's a perfect example of what you're describing. Some young people that fell in love with the Lord, they got on fire for the gospel, and they did not choose. By the way, they came from a missionary family. So you would think that the natural sort of family business would be to go into missions as well, but they didn't. They started a business, and they're doing it together, and that business is engaging the lost all around the world. It's a great story. But I think as I'm listening to you talk, Carrie, it's like we could see 100 or 500 or 1,000 of the Wild brothers engaged through what you're doing at Team 67 too.
Yeah, and it's not just people who are starting businesses too, right? It can be the guy who sells shoes at the local shoe store and how he greets people with a smile, or what is he doing? How is he, planting seeds? Maybe prays for people, maybe, who knows? But it's really, if you think about, as you were talking, it got me thinking about, everybody's scrolling and they're looking at other people. So let's give them what Christians are doing out there in the world, and then draw them to Team 67's Instagram or YouTube, and hopefully give them some good Christian content that will help them. Hey, I want to go do that, or I want to try that, or I want to reach out to so-and-so. And I've got this idea now. Who can I talk to help get me started?
I love it because I just think about it. Just as we're talking, I get excited about the fact that you've got hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of young people just in the United States in the educational system, in the college system, in the junior college system. They're in there, and they're all. It's back to what you were talking about earlier, even with your son. It's like, what are you going to do with your life? And it's not, you weren't the mom who said, "Well, you do this." You were the mom who said, "Let's discover this together." And now you've created this company that you lead does that and helps churches have those conversations and colleges have those conversations. And really, all we're trying to do is just in the this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it anyway. The menu of options, BAM is one of those options. Now, living your faith out in all aspects of your life really isn't optional for a disciple. I mean, that is what you do. But BAM is engaging the world through business is. And so just I just can imagine what I would have been like, coming out of school, not sure what I wanted to do, and having just a way to look at options as the Lord is leading me through possibilities, and finally He says, "This is it." I started laughing when you were talking about some of the students changing majors 3 times. I changed colleges 5 times.
Really?
I'm one of those poster children. It took me 12 years to get an undergraduate degree, 5 different universities before I didn't get kicked out of any of them. That's the good news. But there were life things that came along, and so it just took 12 years. And yet God, even in that, was speaking and guiding and shepherding me. I had no idea for what, but then He does that. And so I think about the young people today, the options I had were nothing compared to today's world, where they have, for every option I had, they have 1,000 different options for every one of them. So think about it. You're coming out of school, or even going through school trying to figure out what to major in, and there's 10,000 items on the menu. That'd drive me crazy. So what a great thing to be able to start getting some sense of safe exploration of options. Lord, where would you have me to go? I think about Samuel, right? When the Lord spoke, and finally through Eli's coaching, he was able to say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And that's what we really want to get these young people to do, is just relax enough to hear what the Lord might be saying to them.
There is such a need. Students are so stressed out. And like you said, there are so many, there's, like you said, thousands, tens of thousands of options they could choose. And, the schools, most of them will, here, we're introducing this major, and, they focus on it. Well, then you've got this whole class, and we're talking hundreds of students that are, we want to be that, but they're not wired for that. And then they get frustrated. And then senior year is coming up. They've got to pick a college. What's the next step? And then just all of the pressure that they feel, that it's no wonder that so many students just end up getting lost. And I mean, I was one of those students. I walked away from church when I was in high school, and, God let me go for about 20 years. And then He finally set the hook, and back I came, thankfully. And in what we're doing today between Team 67-2 and the other organizations that are, like DRG, had I have had that and just a little bit of guidance, I think it would have saved me, a few years. And that's what I'm hoping I can bring to the table, and hopefully help other students not be lost for 20 years,
Wow, what is that? That's a snippet that needs to go out. Help other students not be lost for 20 years. Wow, that's powerful, Carrie. All right, so a few questions for you, and we'll come in for landing. First is, how can people see some of what you're putting out? You mentioned Instagram. Where do they go on Instagram to see some of the content that Team 67-2 is starting to put out for young people?
It'll be Team 67-2, and it's TEAM, the number 67, and then TWO for 2. And we'll be on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and then also YouTube. And so that's where you can find us. Maybe eventually a website.
Yeah. Well, they'll have a landing page, I guess, at some point. But it's like, okay, how do we find you? That's how we find you. Second question for you is, so obviously, you love going, and I would guess, knowing you, that you're very effective going to campuses, meeting with students. How could people contact you, Carrie, to say, "Hey, Carrie, would you come to Abilene Christian College and spend some time with our students?" How would they contact you for that?
Should I give my email address or?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you want the world. This goes to about 57 different countries. So as long as you're content with getting invitations from who knows where.
That would be wonderful. The easiest email would be HAP like Paul A, JAQ, Papa Jack, @gmail.com. That's the shortest one.
Okay. So say it again.
HAPAJAQ at
HAPAJAQ. Okay.
at gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll be in the show notes, and you guys try that. Just reach out to Carrie. Carrie, what do you do when you go to a college? If Abilene Christian College, I'm pulling that out of the air, but if they contacted you and say, "Carrie, we want you to come out," what would you do? Would you go give a speech? Would you go hang out in the dining hall? What would you do?
It would be campus. It would kind of be geared towards the campus. So if like I was just in Arizona and there was a campus Christian center off campus, and all of the Christian campus groups go there. So I was there, and then had a table at an event that they had, so I could do that. We could do a focus group, which is what I'd really like to do right now as I gather information and talk to colleges, pastors, students, and to find out what they're looking for, what their needs are, and then what opportunities do they have, just so that I can build my, put it in my Felix the cat bag and have it in my arsenal to share with others. And then also for connecting dots, people who want this or that, I can help connect them. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And just building on that. So eventually presentations, and then just talking to students, helping them get connected, and then helping the school or the campus center, if possible, find a liaison there that would be part of my team and can be the person on campus. And then we can work together to partner to build the ministry there and help get students connected.
So just to clarify, because I keep talking about Abilene Christian College just because for some reason that popped in my head. But when you were in Arizona, you were at a secular school.
I was.
So this is not just necessarily Christian schools. Obviously, you're trying to reach Christians that are in those schools. I was like that. I went to several secular colleges, and there was always a Christian group or groups, plural, that you could connect with. So that really is a lot of where your focus is. And again, I think about this is the coming together of Vision Resourcing Group and Team 672 mainly just to serve those students. That really is the goal.
Absolutely.
Serve those students and engage them in opportunities God may have for them. So Carrie, give us something to go home with. Give us a challenge, give us a request, give us what do you see in the future? The last word is always the guest. So you get the last word.
Okay. So, well, the way the vision, the big picture that I see is everybody can play a part. If you are in high school, figure out your calling and get connected. If you're in college, also get connected, but also look back so that you can mentor somebody, and always know that every day is a new day. Every person you meet, every interaction that you have, you can be salt and light. And then for people who are in the workplace already, does your company, does your business, does your college campus, where can you get plugged in? And if you are working, is there a place to get plugged in, or is it something that maybe you can start? For the people who are retired or at the next stage of life, don't just go play golf and enjoy life, but really pray for God to call you and to see where you should be called. If it's your church, if it's a nonprofit group, doesn't have to be a Christian group. You can be salt and light in a regular nonprofit organization that helps underrepresented, boys that don't have fathers or something like that. Everybody can be a part of it. It's just asking God where you should go, and then come to us so that we can help plug you in.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's interesting as I'm going through this podcast with you, Carrie, it just reinforces to me how blessed we are to have you leading our team at Team 67 too, because you see it, you're forming the vision, it's coming together in your head and heart, and you're sharing it with us. So to our audience, I just want to encourage you guys, reach out. Contact Carrie if you have an interest. Check out right now the Instagram site. The other social media sites I think are coming out soon. But Team 672, TEAM, the word team, the number 6 and 7, and then TWO. TWO. It's been a long day. Team 672 and visionresourcinggroup.com. These are places you can go to learn more and contact Carrie and get connected. Guys, I'll say to the listeners, and then we'll just say goodbye to Carrie for this time, but she'll be back. It is time for the young people to take BAM to the next place.
Yeah.
And so, but you can't take it there if you don't get involved. So we're just trying to get young people to get exposed to it, to think about it, to not do what we did, not do what we say. But to get exposed to it and say, Lord, what do you want me to do? That is the question. And you're the ambassador for that, Carrie. I'm excited. So I'm hoping that you get so busy, you say, Mike, we got to tell people, stop calling me.
Well, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate your time today. And thank you for having me and for inviting me to Team 67 too. It's been a real blessing.
You bet. It is a blessing for all of us. So thanks so much, Carrie.
Thank you.